me cynical, but I don't believe that a real tiger would endorse a sugar-packed cereal. Not because the tiger has diabetes or anything like that, no. I just don't think that a tiger would eat or even look at a box of cereal. If a hungry tiger walked into a Lidl, it would walk right past the Freeway Coke, the middle aisle Tat, and the off-brand cereal packets to get to the meat fridge or Gladys on Till 3. You're lying to us, Kellogg's. That's not a good way to start a relationship between a company and its customer. I would totally buy that a monkey would eat Cocoa Pops though. So yes, we've got an advert game. How we love those, particularly those of this era on the Amiga, as we know what we're going to get. We're going to get a janky Euro platformer with the most resplendent of gradient skyboxes. But before we get down to business, let us make sure we're fully prepared with the breakfast of champions. That breakfast is facts, and those facts are about Frosties. Delicious! Frosties go by many different names across the world, like the Kaiser Soze of morning confection. In Central America, they're known as Zucaritas, or little sugary things in English, Sucarelos in Brazil, Corn Frosty in Japan, Corn Frost in Korea, and Frosted Flakes in the US and Canada. When they were first introduced in Canada in 1952, they were known as Sugar Frosted Flakes, but then they got all ashamed of the unhealthy truth of its own name and dropped the sugar as quickly as a boy toddler would drop its keks to urinate in a public place. Frosted Flakes are the second best-selling cereal in the United States behind Honey Nut Cheerios, so it continues to roar like its mascot. That mascot is, of course, Tony the Tiger, who's been there since the very beginning. Tony was originally voiced by cartoon voice actor Dallas McKennon, and then the more familiar to most of us and fabulously named Thurl Ravenscroft. You may remember Thurl as singing "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch" in the animated version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. When he died in 2005, the role was split between former WCW wrestling commentator Lee Marshall over in the States and Tom Clark Hill in the UK. Tom Clark Hill has done work for a few notable video games in things like The Witcher and the Time Splitters series. Also, you can get Frosty's shower gel, should you wish to smell like a fat man's piss. So yes, Frosties had this here adventure game. More accurately, Kellogg's had a game, as it's not just Tony, but a clutch of other box-haunting figureheads as well. Maybe I should talk about the founder, John Harvey Kellogg, being a right mumbo-jumbo Fruit Loop who thought that a bowl of cornflakes was good for stopping a gentleman tugging their cereal bars until their balls went snap, crackle and pop. But frankly, we've talked enough about cereal at this point, and there's no need to bring in pud pulling as well. That is for the Arcade Challenge videos. This was released as a promotional freebie exclusively in Germany, who have had form for this kind of hoarding of promotional food video gamery, going by this and the Game Boy Color Kinder Hippo game. It was developed by Turrican creators Factor 5 for a company called Rouser Advertainment in conjunction with Kellogg's. It was made for MS-DOS and specifically the A1200 Amiga. Trying to run Tony and Friends on an A500 will render the game unplayable, so don't even try it, you young ruffian. If you wanted to get hold of it, you'd have to send off this here slip to a town in Bavaria that likely has a long and unpronounceable name, as is common in Germany. You'd have to include also some sort of proof of purchase in the form of vouchers cut from the box, I dare say. As previously stated, the game features an Avengers-style team-up of cereal mascots. Joining Tony in his quest are Coco the Monkey from Cocoa Pops, Diggum Frog from Sugar Puff knockoff Smacks, Toucan Sam from Fruit Loops, and in a non-playable role, this big old unit called Choco the Bear. He was from Chocos, a cereal popular in India and certain European countries, evidently one of them being Deutschland. We didn't get them because Choco is a lazy bastard who refuses to get his paws dirty, and we wouldn't stand for that sort of thing in the UK. Choco, despite being a big old unit who would be useful in a fight, decides to phone in advice in German rather than help Tony and Co. in this multi-stage platform adventure. You'll start out as Big Tone as he embarks on a quest to reclaim both his pals and his delicious treats from a gang of appalling insects and reptiles that clearly have it in for sugar-laced cereal scrumminess. In addition to collecting various flakes, rice and puffs, you can also collect hidden vitamins scattered throughout the level. Once you've collected all on a particular stage, they will grant the player an additional life with which to further their quest. Keys of various colours will need to be collected in order to access various doors that litter a rather impressive for an advert game amount of stages. When rescued, Sam, Coco and Diggum can utilise their various attributes to take you further into a level. And there are bosses every few stages to cause our furry, feathered and indeed smooth-skinned chums all manner of grief. All of the platform staples are present and correct. There's a Euro platform bucket load of floating objects to collect. There's hidden platforms, there's hidden stages. You can usually put a bad guy out of commission by landing upon him with your stripy caboose. Each of the characters has different abilities. Their standing animation usually has them munching on an open packet without milk of whatever treat that they are most closely associated with. They're like addicts, these people. And it does it all very, very perfunctorily okay. It's perfectly solid. And as previously mentioned, it has a bit of length to it. So you'll be at it for a fair few hours before seeing the end screen. So not too bad for a freebie, really. Factor 5 being one of the better coders from that era have certainly put the work in. You can't deny that. Bad points? Well, it doesn't do anything even vaguely original. There's nothing in the game that makes it stand out from anything else. It is just a very bog standard, fairly good Euro platformer. It's no Robocod, but it's not as barrel scraping as a Yolanda either. It's graphically okay, the music is okay, the gameplay is okay. If Tony was to play it, he would stand there and he would say, it's okay. Probably far better than an advert game has any right to be, but that is a bar as low as when they say what the health benefits of eating Frosties are on the packet. With this being a freebie in Germany, as you can imagine, the reviews in English-speaking press are, well, scarce to the point of non-existent. Next in the grinding mill of licenses, and I'll be doing something that has been much covered by YouTubers already. But in light of me playing its PlayStation 2 equivalent 7 Sins recently, I feel it's something I need to cleanse my palate with. Yes, it's time to open a book and see what Ade Edmondson's advice is on how to be a complete bastard. Like, subscribe, and Kay, thanks, bye.